Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we've got a really fascinating set of sources to get into, all centered around Laura Lynne Jackson's book, Signs, The Secret Language of the Universe.
That's right. And our material today is it's a mix of a really detailed study guide from Super Summary and a great review by Karen Eisenbrod.
And Jackson is a well-known psychic medium, but our goal here isn't just to look at the spiritual claims. It's to figure out how this framework she builds, how it works as a practical guide for life.
Exactly. So sources make it really clear. This isn't just about comforting people who are grieving.
Yeah.
It's being presented as a kind of instruction manual for choosing what she calls a higher life path for you right now.
I find it so interesting that she was an English teacher before all this. She argues that everything is connected. Life, the afterlife, you, it's all one big web.
And that connection is, well, it's the whole foundation for her main argument. It's simple, but it underpins everything else she talks about.
Okay, let's unpack this. What is that central argument she makes about our choices? Because it seems like she boils everything down, every single decision, to just two basic energies.
She does. The core idea is that every decision you make, big or small, comes from one of two places. It's either love or it's fear. And choosing the love-based path, even when it's hard, is what moves you forward.
That sounds great in theory, but, in the middle of a chaotic week, those lines can get pretty blurry. Like if I'm thinking about a career change, fear and what feels like responsibility can look almost identical. How does she say you can actually separate them in a practical way?
So this is where she brings in a really powerful concept, something the review highlights, is this physical idea of shackles on versus shackles off. It's a term often connected with life coach Martha Beck.
And that's useful because it takes this big spiritual idea and grounds it right in your body. Tell us about the shackles on feeling.
The shackles on choice, that's the one that comes from fear, or from feeling like you have to do what someone else expects of you. The sources describe the physical feeling. When you think about that choice, you feel yourself getting physically smaller.
Right.
You might feel a tightness in your chest or like you're caving in, just this sense of being trapped or heavy.
I think everyone knows that feeling, that awful tightening when you're about to say yes to something your gut is screaming no about.
Exactly. And Jackson's point is that constricted feeling is a clear physical signal that this path is not your highest path, no matter how safe it seems.
So what about the other side of that, the shackles off choice?
That feels expansive, open, physically lighter, like a weight has been lifted. You just feel a sense of freedom. That lightness is your body confirming that you're on a path aligned with, well, with joy.
But let's be honest, those shackles off choices are often the scariest ones.
Oh, absolutely.
Quitting the steady job, leaving a relationship that's just okay. The sources have to acknowledge that path can feel terrifying.
They do. It's almost always a path of risk, of uncertainty. You might only be able to see the very next step, not the whole road ahead.
And what does she say to that?
Her whole belief is that you don't need to see any farther. You just have to trust that one next step. And that is where the signs come in. They're the validation that helps you take that scary step.
So that's the big shift. From analyzing your internal body signals to looking for external cosmic ones. Here's where it gets really interesting. How do we actually set up a communication system with the universe? Or with what she calls our teams of light?
Her argument is that you can develop your own custom language with the other side. You just have to be open and intentional about it.
Yeah.
And she uses her own story as a perfect example of how that works.
Right, the story before she gave the big talk at a conference. She was full of self-doubt, worried she'd seem too out there.
Exactly. And she asks the universe for a really specific kind of random sign to know she's on the right track. She asks for an orange.
And then what happened?
Yeah. After her talk, when she's feeling good about it, she walks out and there's a whole table just full of oranges. It was so improbable in that context that for her, it was this huge, unmistakable confirmation. It completely eased her doubts.
That idea of a custom signal is so powerful. It makes it less of a vague spiritual thing and more like a practical code.
It does.
Let's talk about that client story with the numbers. That really shows how personal this language can get.
Yes, the story about Brandon, his mom Angela, and his friend Bert. So after Brandon passes away, Bert has a dream and gets this very distinct 4-digit number, 1379.
Just out of the blue.
Just out of the blue. So Angela and Bert decide, okay, this is it. This will be our sign from Brandon, 1379. They established it as their signal.
And once they set that intention,
The summary says they started seeing that number, 1379, everywhere, on receipts, on clocks, in places where it just defied coincidence. It became their own private language.
But this brings up a big question. How does she separate a real sign from, just confirmation bias, where you're just looking for the thing you want to see?
That's a really important question. Jackson's argument is that the signs are different because they show up with what she calls improbable synchronicity. They pop up in unexpected ways, and they carry a real emotional weight. You feel it. It resonates.
So it's the timing, the context, and that feeling all coming together.
Right. And it's not just numbers. The sources mention so many other things people use. Dragonflies, deer, specific songs on the radio, playing cards, even a candle flickering in a certain way.
The variety proves that the sign itself doesn't matter as much as the personal meaning you give it.
Exactly. It's the system of belief that gives it its power.
And the power isn't just for comfort. It's meant to be active guidance. Let's talk about the story of Amy, because that's a case of a massive life decision.
Amy's story is really intense. She was pregnant after a difficult breakup, felt she couldn't do it alone, and had actually scheduled an abortion. She was just in a state of complete despair.
Then she gets a reading with Jackson, and the message she receives is incredibly direct.
Incredibly. Jackson connects with Amy's late grandfather, who tells her she absolutely must have the baby, that the baby will be a gift and make her feel truly loved.
And to back up this life-altering advice, he promised a very specific sign.
A blue bow. Gotta be a blue bow. And sure enough, Amy sees a blue bow in a completely random, unexpected place shortly after. And that was it. She canceled the appointment and decided to have her baby.
It's a huge intervention. And Jackson shows the system works even when the expert herself is in a crisis, with the story of her own daughter, Ashley.
Oh, that's a frightening story. Ashley, who was normally this happy kid, suddenly becomes anxious and rebellious. She can't sleep, can't go to school, and doctors are running every test imaginable, but they can't figure out what's wrong.
So Jackson, at her wit's end, finally turns to her own system. She asks her teams of light for help.
And the help she gets is very specific. She starts receiving these intuitive nudges, images, not necessarily words, but powerful feelings pointing her toward a specific medical condition that hadn't been considered.
A diagnosis.
A potential diagnosis, yes. And she takes this intuition to a doctor, insists on the right tests, and it turns out her intuition was correct. They were finally able to start the right treatment.
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
it shows the guidance is meant to cover everything. Huge emotional decisions like Amy's, scary medical mysteries, and even practical things like career changes. Other stories mention signs like rainbows guiding people to switch jobs. It's total life guidance.
So for anyone listening who wants to get better at noticing these signs, the sources give some very specific advice. There are two main ways to open that channel.
The first is something she calls the gratitude exercise. It's a writing practice. You sit down and write a letter to the universe, thanking it for everything you want in your life. But here's the trick.
You write it as if it's already happened.
Exactly. You're not wishing for something. You're embodying the feeling of having it right now. The goal is to focus on the feeling of gratitude and joy, to bring that shackles-off energy into your present moment.
And the second part is more about general well-being, which makes sense if you're trying to be a clearer receiver.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's simple advice, really. Meditate, pray, go for walks in nature, eat well. Basically, take care of your mind, your body, and your spirit. You can't hear the subtle messages if you're surrounded by your own noise and chaos.
So the whole message from these sources really is to stay open to the signs around you, open to the feelings in your own body so you can keep growing. It's about shifting your focus from fear to faith and joy.
It is. It's about cultivating that relationship with the universe through your own attention. This raises an important question. If you, listening right now, could choose one specific signal just for you, a unique numerical sequence, a particular animal you rarely see, an object, something that would serve as your personal validation that you are on that shackles-off path, what would it be?
That's a great closing thought.
Think about what that one signal would be and what it would feel like to see it show up just for you as you go forward.